Right, hi, we're live, and this is me, Victoria Green, and Mark Jones, and we're here to tell you a bit more about the Soul Trekking in Spain event at the end of August. So it's time to be serious now, Mark.
Oh no, I can't do serious.
um, but I guess I just put this together because I thought, well, I've had a couple of questions anyway, and I thought other people might want to know a bit more about it. But I thought it might be interesting as well and useful for people just to share a bit about why we thought of this, because I know I've got my reasons and you've got yours, and that they kind of gelled nicely, but I thought it might be nice to share that with other people as well. So I don't know
Mm.
if you want to kick off.
Yeah, I don't mind saying my thoughts on it. I think some people uh, may have heard me waffling on the Ice Cream for the Soul blog talk radio, and I just really enjoy connecting people with people one to one quite often. I love going to seminars. I've been to quite a lot of seminars and trainings over the last few years. But there's something I just always enjoy that one to one thing. And and I've also had experience in the last year or so, a year or two of going on silent retreats. And it occurred to me about the same time that I heard you talking about Victoria talking about doing trekking in the UK, and I had that very much going on in my mind here about doing something here. So immediately we had that conversation, didn't we? And you said you was doing yours in the UK, and I said, oh, I've got to come, and it was such a beautiful experience. And there's people who came on the trek. They've said the combination of being outdoors and having that space to be silent if when you felt like being silent, and that space just to speak when you wanted to speak or if you didn't want to speak, and it just seemed a great environment for this kind of exploration. Whether it's I was going to say I didn't want to particularly label it three principles. I like to call it just looking into the true nature of who we are as people, who we are as humanity, who we are as truth, whatever you want to look at it. So I just feel it's just a great way of people connecting and people expanding the minds and the consciousness. I think it's like a great combo. I think the outdoors, the fresh air, and you can drop into moments of meditation almost as you're walking along. And I just think it's perfect rather than being stuck in a classroom or a training. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those, but I just feeling more and more. For me personally, I like the outdoor aspect of things. That's my initial thoughts and reasons for wanting to do this.
Yeah. I love what you said about dropping to like a state of meditation, because
Mm.
I find myself doing that like when I'm kind of walking or running, and I'm really careful, especially when I'm talking about this, because I get quite excited about doing stuff like this. I think people think I'm nuts sometimes.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
I think when you're doing things that are out of the everyday thing, it can be considered a bit off the wall, but it doesn't mean it isn't. It's just different, isn't it? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but I find it just being in nature and being outdoors so conducive for me to experiencing that meditative state. And I'm like really careful not to say, oh, go outside to get that. And I know for me certainly,
Yeah.
if I was kind of stuck in a lot of thinking or something, and I tried to go for a walk to get rid of it, or I was trying to jog to get rid of it, it might not have the same effect. But I just find generally, I don't know if I'm still there. It looks like I've dropped at this end.
No, I can still hear you loud and clear,
All right,
so
okay, that's
I
fine then. I was going to say I'm going to carry on rambling anyway. And yeah, so like I love the trainings that I've been on, and I used to, but I used to find that more would go in, or I'd get a deeper sense of it when I was in that state, and certainly I found a lot of the time that would happen in like small group conversations, or even like conversations in the break when you're strolling around the path. I'm very keen to kind of move and be out in the fresh air and experience things that way, and so often I would, I guess I liked connecting with people kind of in the breaks and in the little group work, and I just found that I was getting a lot from that. That's no, that's not fair. I'm not going to say that's where my understanding deepens, but I'd get really clear on how that understanding showed up in my life, or was showing up in my life, kind of thing, through those conversations. And I just thought that maybe other people would find it as easy as I do to drop into that state outside, you know, while they're moving and talking, and I just think it works really well for me.
Yeah.
And I loved how when we did the trek in the summer, and I don't know if it felt like this for you, but for me it certainly did. It felt like the first day was kind of all about the walk, and I'm not sort of pleasantries, but connecting and
just getting through the ice.
Yeah.
Breaking the ice. Yeah.
And then after that initial exhaustion from the first day.
I just want to tell you folks as well, anybody who's listening, Victoria kept saying, oh yeah, it'll only be a short walk. And we were all believing her. We was out all day. But in Spain, I know exactly how long the walk should take. Slow a walk. And a slow pace and high pace. I think Victoria must be a very fast walker normally.
Well, I certainly don't talk as much when I'm on my own.
I talk more when I'm on my own.
But yeah, I have had a couple of questions about the actual walk.
Okay.
About, you know, the level of fitness to join in, that the level of fitness that's required, and also the height that we'll be at, but kind of how steep it will be to get there, things like that.
Okay. Well, I can. Well, I had it in mind. I would say our lovely trek in the Yorkshire Dales was probably the toughest day for us, and probably the first day will be the toughest walk. Toughest in that it's not necessarily, mind you, they're probably pretty even but different. In that some areas are just a bit loose rocks underfoot. Some of the parts of the trail, it's on a mountainside, and when I say a mountainside, I don't want people to think they're on the edge of a vertical cliff. You know, if it's a bit steep here and there, and you might have to scramble down 3 or 4 feet down a little steep bit to get down to where the trail changes levels. But if there's a couple of us around, it's just a case of holding on to somebody's hand to help each other down here and there. And I think I did mention to you, Victoria, we had somebody who came over here to a Jack Pransky training. We went on this particular trail with Jack, and this guy, he was in his 60s. Well, Jack's in his 60s as well, but he's a very fit in his 60s. And there was 2 people on this trail, both in the 60s, both of reasonable fitness, both liked walking. and and this guy managed perfectly well. I think it was a bit more. I'd forgotten the terrain, although it was a bit shock to him. That's why I'm mentioning the terrain. It's not all the way, but 25% of it's just a bit loose underfoot. But then the rest of it, for the views that we get on this trail, it's well worth putting up with. We're about 1,200 meters up, but the trail's pretty level. There's an initial climb to the trail, and then the trail's just softly undulating, and that's, like I say, here and there we've got to maybe scramble down to where the levels change, but the views are just spectacular, looking out to the Mediterranean and over around the mountains. There's an old fort up in this area that's about 14th century fort that was built in the times of the Moors and the Christians, and I think anybody of reasonable fitness would manage it. Just got to make sure you've got strong, decent boots that come around the ankles. And the next day that the hike I've got in mind, there's an initial climb of about an hour and a half, and I want people to realise this isn't like we've got to get from somewhere to somewhere in a certain amount of time. We'll have more than enough time in the day to get from A to B. So we're not going to be pushing people to run along. Like when we was with you in Yorkshire, Victoria, we had plenty of time for stopping, reflecting. I remember that time we stopped in the woods and we just stopped for about half an hour chatting. And that time we just sat on the rolling hillside looking across. There's going to be plenty of time for all that kind of stuff. So I think if you've got reasonable fitness, there's initial climbs on both days of about an hour and a half. When I say climb, I don't mean rock climb. I mean steepish up and down slopes. But if anybody's reasonable fitness, they'll be fine with it. And like I said, the main thing I want to point out is we're not forcing people to go at a certain pace. So as long as we're not having to carry people in a hip every 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know the walk we did, we had plenty of breaks, and some were short, just like regrouping, but others, that viewpoint you mentioned, I think we stopped for almost about 2 hours there, didn't we? Because we just...
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
We were all just, we kind of sat there in awe, weren't we? And yeah, we were all just happy to do that as well. And that's what I quite like. Well, that's what I loved about it. It was kind of, we went along in a kind of like group consensus kind of way, didn't we? It worked quite well.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. And invariably people do, sorry to interrupt you, Victoria, invariably people do, what I found interesting is the dynamic of people. 1 minute you'd be find yourself speaking to one person, and then you'd perhaps drift back and you'd be speaking, and it was lovely how there was just a natural interchange of just people just moving around and speaking, and it was beautiful, and there was no particular leader as such. Everybody who came along had an understanding. Some had deeper understanding than others, but there was no lead. It was just the baton was being passed around, in metaphorically speaking, and it was just lovely how things unfolded, wasn't it? It was really nice.
Yeah. It was great. Just kind of connecting and hearing what everyone had to bring, actually, from all their past experiences and kind of the eyes that they saw things through. I found that really good. Sorry, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. I think you already mentioned about good boots, having like proper walking shoes or boots.
Yeah.
I also wanted to tell people to, if they're not from Spain, and maybe this is just me, but I know I turned up last October expecting it to be a little bit like the UK, and spent the entire weekend absolutely boiling. So I just wanted to make sure that people were aware that it could be still quite warm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it can be very warm. You could quite easily want to be in shorts, for example. So just make sure you've got shorts. Obviously, we can't guarantee the sunshine, but it's pretty. We get over 300 days of sunshine a year. We get very little rain, but it's. I'd definitely bring shorts because I'm quite acclimatized now. In October, I probably will have long pants on, but I'm quite often when people come over here, they're like, "Oh, how are you wearing jeans or whatever?" And they want to be getting into the shorts. So yeah, it's the weather. Obviously, we can't guarantee the weather, but I'm sure it's usually October's a pretty good month. It should be perfect, I think, for walking. So yeah, it should be good. It would be good.
And so hopefully no rain proofs will be needed.
No, I think it'd be unwise. It would be unwise to say not to bring any though, because obviously you can't guarantee. So it'd be good to bring a cagoule just in case. But I don't think. Well, we had a bit of rain on the last day on your trek in Yorkshire, didn't we? But in some ways that added to the dynamics of it all. So yeah.
Certainly made it different.
Yeah. And I think just something that Michael said, who was on your trek. He said something, and I had it in my mind, and it's just jumped out. And I think he found it very engaging that it's returned to me now. I'll try and find his words or words or a way of saying what he was saying. He really liked the fact that we was in a group because I think he was talking about the fact that sometimes we get our own little understandings of how we think things are working, and I'm talking about in the big scheme of things here. These are conversations that could be going on, whether it's three principles or deep conversations around truth, whatever that means to you. And sometimes people can get convinced about their own certain ideas of how things are, but I think it's lovely in a group because you can run your thoughts in amongst people, and then people can help you see in places where perhaps you're getting stuck or you're seeing something from an angle that they don't quite agree with, and you get so many different perspectives on things that really helps broaden and help your understanding of all this stuff that we're going to be exploring. And again, I do want to reiterate, if you feel like coming along and you have no particular desire to you might feel just like walking and enjoying the scenery. That's perfectly fine too. It's just an letting things unfold and seeing how things turn out. And I think it is said in the bump we've got on the Eventbrite page, there is going to be the option of yoga and some meditation before we start in the mornings. So that's optional. We're making it very, very relaxed and chill out. We're going to be on the move, but we're going to be chilling out, chillaxing, as my sons say. Is that a term in the UK that people are using a lot at the moment? Chillax.
It's not a Yorkshire term.
Maybe it's just my son. Must be a Lancashire thing.
Yeah. But I know last time I was there, we did yoga on the roof of the hotel, and that was a pretty amazing way to start the day. I've never done yoga before, but it's certainly set the scene, I think. So I don't know if you're planning on doing it in the hotel again, but that was
well, if it's warm enough, well, let's say in the first thing in the morning, it can be quite cool in the mornings, but it'd be if the weather's fine, we'd do it on the roof, and especially on the first day, on the roof of the hotel, you can see the mountain in the background where we're going to be taking the trail around. So that'd be, imagine that might put people off. Imagine, I'm just going to stay in the hotel bar. And it's worth talking about the hotel, isn't it? Say that again.
I said, and that is an option too.
Yeah.
People just want to come and have a break for a few days. Yeah, they could just like go to the beach and stay in the hotel. But I did get asked what 3 nights accommodation is included, and I have it down as the Thursday, Friday, Saturday night.
Yeah.
The 23rd, 24th, and 25th of October.
Yeah.
That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's all inclusive as well, isn't it? So it'll be breakfast, a packed lunch, and then an evening meal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the hotel, it's a very nice hotel. There's a pool there. There's it's a 3-star hotel, but it's a nice 3-star hotel. The food's both. Let's say it's 10 minutes from the beach. It's a nice, quiet resort. Well, quiet, but there's plenty of restaurants around there and stuff if people don't want to stay in the hotel, if they want to have a change from the hotel. So we've never had any. Well, Sheila and I and Katja, they've been running the Jack events over here for the last few years, and nobody's ever complained about the hotel. It's very, very good value for what you pay. It's very good value. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've stayed there a couple of times and certainly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what else there is to cover. I haven't had any questions about transfers and things like that.
It is.
Your way.
Yeah, it is worth talking about that because quite often, especially when people are getting flights, sometimes I've flown to London sometimes, and it takes me as long to get across London to get to the venue as it does sometimes to fly from Spain to the UK, and I'm not exaggerating there. Sometimes it's literally taken like 2 hours to get across London if we couldn't get to the right airport. But the transfers from Alicante to Albier, they're very good. You can literally get a €16 shuttle bus that takes you door to door. There's also the option of getting the bus from the from the airport to a taxi to the next resort over. So I use the word Benidorm there. Don't get scared. We're in the next resort over from Benidorm. But like I say, it's a beautiful part of the world, and it's very easy. Good transfers from the airport. So that's I just wanted to point that out.
That's brilliant.
Is there anything else we need to tell folks? Do you think, Victoria?
I don't think so. You've mentioned that yoga's optional, and if they want like a juice with the lunch and stuff, we can sort that out, can't we?
Yeah.
On the evenings, there'll be a chance to socialise as well. I know on events that I've been to, sometimes we've chosen to all go and dine out rather than stay at the hotel. And so if everyone wants to do that, there's that option, or we can just stay around the hotel. We've done that before as well, haven't we?
Yeah. And one thing that did just come to mind that we didn't mention: if people do want to add an extra night or two, like a night before or night after, just get in touch with Victoria and I, and we can sort that out. We get a very good rate at the hotel, so we can sort that out for you. And if you want to make it a longer break, that's not a problem. Also, obviously you have to pay extra to the hotel for the extra nights. But if you want to make it a longer break, then as long as you get in touch sooner rather than later about that. October's usable. It's not too busy month, so it should be okay.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
So have you got anything else to say before?
No, I just want to reiterate, and again, this is just from my personal point of view of how I envisaged this being, and then I experienced your trek in Yorkshire, and it was beautiful, and it was I thought it was, obviously you can't make guarantees, but for me personally, the combination of being in the outdoors with like-minded people, and discussing these kind of things, I just think it's just a perfect opportunity for people who like the outdoors and who are in this way of thinking. I just wanted to say. Well, that's all I wanted to say.
I think anyone that's been to an event and like experienced that, I can't speak for others, but I know that sometimes I kind of fall into a space where I want to be reflective, and I kind of want like a little bit of time out, or I just want to listen to someone else. I don't want to have to think about talking or anything like that. I just want to drop into a state where I don't have to think too much. And
Yeah.
I know that at events, I've always found that it's the this isn't when it happens, but this is like a large part of what I enjoy, like the breaks, just the meandering round, whether there's somewhere to go or especially if there's somewhere scenic to enjoy, kind of like Jamie's events are in Regent's Park, and it's just gorgeous walking through the park, and in Spain. You know, during the breaks, and you've got the whole view of the mountains and the coastline there, and I just find that beautiful for for reflecting and connecting like deeply. And I think anybody that likes walking and being out in the outdoors is going to get like will be really excited. So yeah, I can't wait, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
So I've packed on my clothes already. Not quite.
Fantastic.
So I think we're pretty much done, aren't we? I was going to draw it to a close.
Yeah.
I'll send this out to everyone that signed up, the link, so that people can access this if they want to hear about it. But also underneath, I will put the link to the actual event where people can request more information or read what's on there and book a place. But they can contact us directly, can't they?
Yeah.
Your email again, or the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, if anybody wants to get in touch with me, if they're not already a friend of mine on Facebook, I probably spend way too much time on Facebook, but they can always connect with me on there, or they can email me at satya.yoga. Satya is SATYA .yoga @hotmail.es, satya.yoga@hotmail.es. And if anybody wants to chat, a quick Skype chat, and ask me any questions, I'm more than happy to.
Brilliant, Mark. I think you have gone there, but I'm sure people can catch you on Facebook. Similarly, you can get me on Facebook at Victoria. It's just Victoria Green, or you can email me at vicstar at btinternet.com, VICSTAR at btinternet.com. Brilliant. So look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks. Bye.